Is it true that there are times that you are aggressive and unkind?
Both of us, I wouldn't just
Not both of us. We're just talking about you.
For him to continue to run off like that, it has to stop.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Giving you guys another long one. We're talking about Letoya Luckett and her man Tommy Walker, Tomikas Walker, I should say. We're going to talk about obviously the recent events in terms of the baby shower crazy incident. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of you returnees, well, you already know, you got the minerals. You got the minerals, baby. And don't forget to grab your merchandise as well. Don't leave yourself spared this winter coming. Okay, we're still in summer, but don't worry about that. You understand? Alright, cool. So, talking about the Letoya Luckett situation, if you haven't heard already, yes, Letoya Luckett, allegedly, there's been conversation around the fact that her husband, Tomikas Walker, cheated on her allegedly, and it was revealed by the baby mother, sorry, I should say, by the side chick or side piece, who said she had provided evidence of a video with tattoos in the video matching his description of tattoos on his particular leg. Okay, if there's a smoking gun ever, this is it. But I want to discuss obviously the side piece revealing a piece of information on the baby is a gender reveal, and also as well discussing why Letoya seems to be in this position, because there's a whole deep history behind it, and I want to really break it down and get you to this point now and make you understand some things about relationships. So,
Tommy, I need you to hear this. She's as vulnerable as you are. She wants to be seen.
So here it goes. I wanted just to say obviously that for a woman to decide to reveal information about another man who she's dating, who she knows to be potentially married. Potentially she knew that he was married, right? And once she found out, she decided to allegedly reveal this information during the process of a baby gender reveal. Now, one, this is a violent behavior. To do that is a very violent behavior. And to do that takes a level of scorn or jealousy or envy to do it. There needs to be a strong provocative emotion pushing for the person to do this thing. Alright? Hell have no fury like a woman that is scorned, right? Or the person has had a very, I would say, abusive past, and this is like the final snap that she's like, you know what, today of today's, nobody's going to do me dirty again, okay? So I want to kind of break that down as well. So number one, I talk about obviously how having a fury like a woman that is scorned. When someone's got wrath and they decide to release this kind of information because they're angry about the fact they were used and abused. When a person becomes aware that they were used and abused, or a person becomes aware that they're no longer of use to the individual, which is the side piece to allegedly, like I said again, all of it's allegedly to Tomikas Walker, that person can snap and become very angry, and out of that anger could plan to do something to cause to cause pain in spite, right? Now, oftentimes when this emotion takes over, the Bible says that let not anger, don't let the devil have a chance to get a foothold, right? With our anger, right? And it talks about how that you shouldn't let the sun go down on your anger, because anger is one of those emotions where actually the truth of the reason is, if you really look deeper below the surface, you're not angry, you're frustrated, you're disappointed, you're hurt. You understand? Anger is the last buck stop that manifests itself on the surface, but the underneath root of that emotion oftentimes is hurt, disappointment, fear, the feeling of being used, you know what I'm saying? All those emotions, disappointed, etc., that look like it comes on the surface as rage, wrath, or anger, right? So another thing is also as well, anger can come out when you feel like you've been promised something. So in these particular situations where someone's been cheating, right? There can be a promise that I'm gonna leave my wife, don't worry, it's gonna be me and you, it's all about us and what we're gonna be doing. I promise you, I'm gonna do whatever we need to do for us. And then the broken promise breaks her heart and the wrath comes out. right? So that's another reason why that she could, the woman could have chosen to do this violent, and I call it violent because of the way it's chosen to, you've planned this to let it come out at a point in time where a baby's involved, or baby gender being revealed, where other friends and family are going to be involved. What did Letoya do to you? If allegedly, again, this is true, what did she do to you that you felt to reveal that information, not only to him, but to her and whoever was watching or whatever, yeah? Who hurt you enough to want to do that, right? Because it wasn't Letoya, it was him. But that's the level of spite someone can go to when they're very angry, hurt, and working in wrath. Another thing is here, jealousy. Sometimes women can become, the side piece can become jealous of the main chick because, as you know, one of the psychological things that happen is, when someone is sleeping with somebody else's man, okay, the idea that goes in someone's head is that I'm replacing your wife. And now there's a competition between yourself and the wife. The woman's having a competition with the wife. Why? Because she's got a competition of significance. You see, when God made woman, he made her to be a source of wanting adoration, love, care, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all about receiving. Women are all about receiving. That's feminine energy, all about receiving. That's why God made us a bride to him. We are about receiving. What do we receive? His grace, his love, and his mercy, right? So the woman too is like that. She wants to receive the love, right? And so one of the ways she knows that she loves is by receiving the fact that you've made a statement of her significance. Because women want to feel special. They want to feel significant in your life. So what can happen is jealousy can kick in, because when they start seeing that actually they've been robbed of their body, and you've told lies, or you've been disappointing them, or whatever, or you've not come through with your promises, they can start seeing the other woman as a competition, and jealousy can kick in and settle in and make you want to be able to hurt this woman, because it's about how you feel. It's about the fact that you need to be able to crush your opponent so that your now guy who you're now doing things with will see that you're the main source. You're the significance of his happiness. All right? It's another way to do it. Also, as well, sometimes it's an ego thing. To do that, it's an ego thing because, you know, if you can get one up on the main chick, it's an ego thing. Like, I'm the main chick. I'm like, don't watch that from me. Do you understand? I'm levels. You understand? Sometimes it's about self-gratification and self-satisfying oneself to make themselves feel better by hurting another, right? It's from a place of brokenness, if I'm honest with you. It's from a place of brokenness. And the last one is that sometimes, and I'll probably mention as well, a realization of when you feel like you've been used, it can make you flip. When you feel like you've been used by someone, it can make you flip. So that's a reason as to why I believe the side chick potentially could use this violent behavior to release information at someone's baby shower. It doesn't make sense, or baby gender reveal, don't make sense. Then I want to talk about obviously why he cheated. Now, obviously, cheating is something that can be misunderstood. I wanted to say this as well, like, if you're a cheater or if you've cheated in the past, you already know yourself. The Bible says that no man is tempted. God doesn't tempt anybody. And the temptation lies in the desire of the individual. It's a darkness inside of you. Okay? There is something in you that desires to do this. Okay? It's not your wife. It's something in you that desires to do this. From that, we can then deduct the reasons as to what may be added to why the person may do that. Someone stated obviously the fact that he feels like he's inferior to his wife. And we can discuss that a little bit later on when we look at some of the reasons, as some of the arguments.
A lot.
I know for sure I can couple my words, and also my wife can definitely couple her words as well. I think a lot of times my wife does not see that I'm really truly hurting inside.
I've seen them have, but we'll discuss that at greater depth. But you'll see that obviously some of the arguments they have, it doesn't really make sense. The way he's talking is coming from a place of real depth of pain. In fact, one part where he even said, you know what, I don't think Letoya understands, I'm in pain, and I know his mother passed. Again, that's not an excuse. That's just a reason as to why someone may do it and give themselves an excuse to go and do something that they shouldn't do, right? Because also, you see, this is the desire that's in man. The desire that's in man is that we've been given, once you become born again as a Christian, you're given the power to overcome sin. That means now it's a choice. When you're in the world, unfortunately, you have you still have a choice, but it's like, it's not a choice of righteousness, it's a choice of just doing right. You know what's right, what's wrong, right? And the person then will then, the person will have a choice to give in to this particular nature, this particular action, right? A sin consciousness, or I should say that sin's alive in the individual when they're not born again, right? And so now that sin is trying to get you to desire things. Your flesh is trying to get you to desire things, right? And so therefore, the person will do whatever it takes to feed the flesh instead of feeding the spirit. Now, if you don't have a spirit, then you can't feed it, right? So it's only about questionable moral compass. That's what it comes down to. And so, again, cheating oftentimes is to do, cheating always is to do with the desire of the individual in them. You know, I think there was even a statement that he put up about the fact that the devil's working against him or working against them, etc., etc. And it's like, blood. First of all, let me just put this frankly. Anybody blaming Satan for getting them to do something differently, you must understand it's a two-part process. What do I mean by that? Well, when Adam and Eve were in the garden, Satan didn't force Eve's hand to grab the apple. He just suggested. And she took the suggestion. And just as he suggested, she suggested onto Adam the same thing. So you have to understand this. When it comes to cheating, it's a suggestion. You don't have to accept it, but you agreed to the suggestion and you go in and you did it. Satan isn't the one that is to blame. You are. Because when it gets to judgment day, God ain't asking for Satan. Satan's already been condemned. You are going to get the punishment. You're going to get the punishment. Well, I say punishment. The judgment comes for those who haven't got Christ in their life. So we've already been judged through who? Christ. Christ has been judged for us. If you haven't got Jesus, you're going to face judgment day. I'm just going to be real with you. Yeah? You know, in the same fashion, Satan isn't the cause of why you decided to move mad. Or Satan isn't the cause of the storm that you're facing right now. No. But my brother, listen, you understand? Like, evidently, there's some smoke here, and if there's smoke, there seems to be some fire. Now, you know, again, like I said, the video showed, you know, a tattoo that had an image of what he had on his leg. So it's allegedly again, yeah? All right.
For him to continue to run off like that, it has to stop. You know, especially now more than anybody, life is short.
Letoya says obviously he runs off when something's kicking off. Now, this is not the first time, because he says it, obviously he runs off when something's kicking off.
He's been running away since we got married. He ran away when I was pregnant. He ran away the child.
That's not gonna work, yo. Like, you cannot.
In another video I watched, she said obviously he's been running since they've been married, right? So when it comes to conflict, yeah, Walker is not good at conflict. He's not good at it. He avoids it completely. In fact, there was another scene where they were in counseling, right? And the counselor asked him to express how he felt, and he's just shut down.
No, I don't want to respond to it.
But it's an opportunity to talk.
Well, here's Tommy being Tommy. Once again, he shut down.
He avoided it. He said, no, I'm not gonna express how I feel, right? And that, for me, shows an emotional, avoidant person when it comes to conflict. They can't not deal with it. And we're going to talk about that and the reasons how it comes to pass, trust me. You know, we know his mum passed away, you know, she was dead not just to him, but also to her as well, because she had a very close relationship. She had a very good relationship with her mother-in-law, and they got on. So this is not just like you're dealing with it. This is her also dealing with it, which in another episode we saw John Gray and his wife came and spoke to them, and she was talking about how vulnerable she was.
Well, I'm rubbing him on his back. He was like, rubbing mine. Yeah. But I'm okay with that.
How she was supporting him by putting her hand on his back, but nothing was returning for her. She wasn't getting none of that support back. And that shows, again, her aptitude for wanting to be able to support her husband and make sure that he's okay, but she's not getting that same, that same emotional care back. And this is where it gets interesting, because when I spoke about successful women and dating men, I spoke about the fact that successful women give off a vibe of independence, which is not a problem. The problem is that there needs to be a space for a man to see where he fits in. And one of the ways that the way that a man can fit in is that she may have finances covered away. She doesn't need you in that area. Where she needs you is an emotional care. Regardless of how rich you are, you need a man who's going to take care of your emotions, regardless of how rich you are, because you've got emotions, right? So you need a man who's going to take care of that and be able to handle that, right? And at the moment, he's unable to do that. He's unfulfilling in that role, and so she said, obviously, she has to have no one's got.
Tommy, I need you to hear this. She's as vulnerable as you are. She wants to be seen.
Obviously, he said obviously communication problems began when they brought up old stuff, and he's trying to blame here. He's deflecting from the true nature of the problems. He says the reason why we have problems.
I act like that we really got some serious damn communication issues, because that's not the damn case.
But it is.
The communication issues started when we started going to counseling, bringing up old stuff.
Is because you know, you brought up old stuff from the past. That's the reason why we have problems. We don't have problems because of anything else. We have problems because you brought up stuff from the past in the counseling session. Now, that's not the reason why they've got problems now. They've got problems now because he avoids conflict. The very reason that the whole conversation started in this particular scene was because she brought up the fact that, listen, you can't keep running away. And instead of saying, do you know what, you're right, my bad, he actually goes tit for tat. He actually retaliates by saying, you do the exact same thing. And he does it once, he does it more than once.
You say really unkind things, but you don't expect a rebuttal. You just expect to be able to say things and nobody have a response for that.
You can definitely respond, because you always respond. You have a slick mouth.
He does it several times. In fact, he does it in another scene where they're sitting in a car. He does the exact same thing where he...
Dallas tonight.
And when were you gonna bring me in on this plan?
You make that word stuff day of all the time.
Instead of just accepting the criticism or accepting the constructive change, he just retaliates. That shows to me that there's an emotional immaturity when it comes to dealing with conflict, right? As soon as you tell me I'm wrong, I gotta tell you wrong. Why? Because I don't want to feel like I don't want to feel belittled. I don't want to feel out of control. I don't want to feel like I'm losing my power. I don't want to give you any ounce of that hold over me. Okay? Yeah, you're not bigger than me, not better than me, right? Because something makes him feel like that. He feels fearful of her saying something against him because it makes him feel like he's losing power in the relationship. All right. Spoke about obviously hopped on a flight to Dallas and didn't speak while she was gone. Again, this silent treatment is passive aggressiveness. Not speaking is passive aggressiveness. But in to be fair, she said obviously she didn't speak to him to give him the space, right? You know, to give him the space. And then when she said that, he said, obviously, no, no, I intentionally took that space.
Call you and then pick up the damn phone.
Tommy, you had just walked out on me and told me you needed some space. So I gave it to you.
I took it. You didn't give me nothing.
Well, if I didn't answer the phone.
And I was like, wait, no, I didn't pick up the phone, so I didn't give you that space. He's like, no, I didn't. I took the space. Again, so if you hear those words, what he's actually saying is, listen, I'm not giving you room to have control over me. I'm not letting you control me. You don't own me. I own myself. Like, I do what I want. I do whenever I want to do. I'm the boss. I am the boss of me, right? And that comes from a place of insecurity, because you're right now. She hasn't said anything about bossing you around, but you feel like you're being bossed because something is triggering old memories. Something is triggering the old problems inside of you. Something's triggering old unresolved conflicts in you. Okay? He says obviously he hates that the counseling puts him in a funk for things he's already forgiven her for. And her reaction is very key, because her reaction is like, what? Wait, hold on a minute. What I've done in counseling. And I watched another video. When I watched it, he was at fault. Blood, she went at fault. Do you understand? Like, but that's where he's at the moment, right? He's unable to see his own faults. He only sees hers. And that's a way to kind of deflect from the true nature of dealing with self. Right? It's a deflection to make sure that the other person is the one that is a problem. And this actually, again, is part and parcel of emotional avoidance when it comes to conflict. When you get to a certain point, you start deflecting and you start saying all negative things that are happening are as a result of your partner. Negative emotions, wrongdoing, arguments are her fault, she's the one that started it, she said something that's pissed you off. Like, everything becomes at one point a problem of your partner. And that's when you've gone into critical mass, I call it, a critical problem, because now you're only seeing her as the enemy, right? And at that point, you do anything to alleviate what you're seeing and hearing.
That I already have forgiven you for.
Forgiving me for?
Oh, see, that's the problem. You think you're perfect. That's why we do not move forward.
He accused her of wanting to be perfect. And it's interesting because he accused him of that. He accused her of that, like you're not perfect, and then he accused her quite a few times. When he was in the car,
My other daughter, I don't know if you care about doing it or not, but
I don't care.
You are a great mother.
you know, accused her. So another of the things that he's doing now is also accusing. Again, that's a form of deflection again, because you want to make sure that, and sometimes when you accuse oftentimes because you're guilty. And your guilty conscience makes you accuse because you're thinking they're doing the same thing I would do, right? And so now your consciousness kind of plays on its part. But in this particular case, I really do believe he's accusing her to deflect the fact that he cannot deal with himself. He deflects him so that it's like, oh, I'm not the bad guy, you're the bad guy, right? If this doesn't work out, it's you're the problem. People pick, and sometimes if you are cheating and you are trying to leave, you might pick arguments to make the person say that they're no longer going to do this anymore so that you can be free to do whatever you're doing, and then say, oh, well, I didn't end it, you ended it, right? It's a classic old school trick by men sometimes when they're trying to be players, man. You know, and I put here, her highlighting something doesn't make her perfect. It just means that she wants to communicate. And I've seen this as well. You know, there were several times, even at the counseling, after the counseling, she was communicating and he didn't want to communicate. Whenever he gets to a point of communication and it gets to conflict, all of a sudden he wants to make an excuse for something, and he will start, you know, saying some things very, very sharp towards her. So instead of just apologizing, dealing with the situation, he tends to run off to another state to go and see his daughter all of a sudden. So this is a person who's really not dealing with conflict very, very well. And then he goes into accusation mode again once more. You know, saying, oh, you're being an actor. You're going into actor mode again. And she's like, whoa, what? You accuse me, so you got accusation of being perfect, accusation of being an actor, yeah? So you're seeing these accusations being made. Why? Because all about trying to paint the narrative for himself as an excuse to do whatever he's doing. Number one, it could be. Number two, also as well, the accusation of actor and being perfect, again, is about assuming control. Again, this could be a very subconscious move when you're not feeling very, very secure. You know, this could be that he feels insecure about who she is. It could be also insecurity about the fact that he's in pain right now. It could be insecurity because, again, he's emotionally avoidant. Again, I'm not going to just put as one thing, but I want to kind of open up that spectrum there for as well. And then obviously later on, you hear Letoya say, no, she again is self-aware. She understands him. She's reading emotions. She's reading him. She's been open to a process of actually trying to make something work together, right? And then she goes, obviously, like he's bottling up things and not expressing what's actually eating him, right? So she's aware that obviously that, and this is where we're talking about emotionally avoidant. What happens with emotionally avoidant people? One of the ways that you can tell that they are is because they, is it gunny sacking? Basically, what it means is that they literally store up everything that's happened and then release it all in one go, right? So if he's not expressing how he feels now, eventually it's just gonna come out.
Do you, like you've always been on you.
Right? So when we see situations like when after the counseling session in the car, and you know he starts getting annoyed because obviously he didn't release how he felt at the counseling session, but then after the counseling session, that's when he's starting to reveal how he feels, but in a way that it's not conductive or constructive. Actually, he just says it as oh, I'm going to Dallas, and he's like, whoa, and she's like, whoa, you didn't tell me, and he's like, well, I'm telling you now, innit? Like you tell me things last minute again, trying to say obviously this is what you do. Every time that he's doing something, she's challenging him on it. He's like, oh well, this is what you do, right? This is what you do. Sweeping on, trying to paint a picture. The person that you're with is the one that's doing you dirty. Again, I think he's got a mindset from the emotional avoidance situation. The fact that you know he's thinking that it's her. He's thinking it's her. She's a problem, and not looking internally to himself. He's unable to do that because the enemy has to be outside of him. Because he's not doing it wrong. He's not doing wrong. No, in his mind, he's not doing wrong. And also, let me be fair, maybe he's not getting the affection that he wants, right? And when I heard him speak, I think in the counseling session, I'll go into it though, he speaks and says, obviously, you know what, he wants her to be more around. She doesn't really organize them for them to have alone time anymore, right?
This whole notion of not carving out enough time for both of you. And I want you to just talk to him about it.
And for that, maybe, okay, that is where the issue is. Maybe his a love language is, you know, quality time, and he's not been able to have quality time with her, and thus he feels unloved, right? But the problem is also as well, as he wants to spend quality time, and we'll discuss as well when they were in the counseling session, he's been aggressive, unkind with his words, and he's not been a joy to be around right now. Do you understand? So why?
And when you are aggressive in your words, It shuts me down, all of me.
She want to spend quality time with you when you're making it difficult by the way you're behaving. Plus, you have a kid, Gianni, now, which puts some more stretch on your time. You know, his three things that he wants her to cook. You know, he wants more quality time. You know, and you know, she's not as patient in arguments as she used to be, right? Which again deals with just kind of this, like I said, this quality time. And the fact that maybe he's more sensitive than he's actually saying, right? Because he's like, oh, you're not as patient as you were in arguments as you used to be.
That I don't cook enough.
Your second one?
I'm not as patient in the arguments as I used to be when we first started our relationship.
Your third?
Which means she might have given him a lot more leeway beforehand, and now she's not giving him as much leeway. Well, you know, I watched another video with her and John Gray, and she was saying, look, hey, you know, like, in the beginning, I just made sure everything was okay. I wanted everything to be okay. I wanted everything to be okay. But when I look at her dating history...
What advice would you give women who are wondering what happened or how you got through that time?
Through it,
Deshaun she dated, Rob Hellman. Like, but when you look at these situations, like Rob Hellman, she got married to, they lost a baby and then got divorced within a short period of time, within like 2 years or something like that. Was engaged to Deshaun before as well. Didn't go too well. Was dating Slim Thug on and off for like 10 years. But then he cheated and had a baby mother with another woman. So her dating history isn't great, like in terms of men treating her correctly. So maybe one of the things that's happened is that she's now trying to be a people pleaser. As she's been a people pleaser, that's not working for the relationship, because obviously she's put aside her feelings and put aside her emotions.
While I'm rubbing him on his back, he was like, yeah. But I'm okay with that. And I just have been okay with everything. I just have continued to be okay with everything.
Right, to support him, rubbing his back, I should say, right? And she said that obviously she tries to make everything okay, but it's not okay because she's feeling the pressure. You know, no one's scratching her back and saying it's okay, so she's feeling left out and alone, right? And then back to the conversation they were having. You know, when she, I mentioned it, that when she obviously, I gave you space, and he said, no, I took it. I took it is a very, very strategic sentence to define. I took it is something that is possessive. I took it. You understand? That is a level of aggression. I took it. Right? When she was like, no, I gave it to you, like, but he's like, no, I took it. And again, it's about showing, listen, hey, I do what I want, I do whatever I want. It's about power again. You know, it's about feeling empowered. You know, when we feel like we're lacking power, feel like we're no longer in control, we do things subconsciously to make us feel like we're in control again once more. One of them is what he's doing right now, which is like, he's declaring, saying, listen, no, I have autonomy over me. Listen, you never did nothing for me. I did it, right? Again, this can happen when you don't feel equal to someone, when you don't trust someone, when you don't think you're on the same level as someone. Insecurity can kick in, and you may need to take control and power to make yourself feel better. And then he obviously quickly went into, let's hug it out, because he didn't want to deal with the conflict, because she hadn't finished. She was going to say something else, and then he said, oh, let's hug it out, and let's get it over with. Basically, he wanted to make sure that, nah, I don't want to be able to, I don't want to argue about it. So I don't want to be left in a distress. But the truth of the matter is, if you don't conflict resolute, you only increase the damage later on down the line, because you're not helping the person, you're abandoning them because you're running away, you're not dealing with the issue, which means it's going to build up and probably come out explosively, which then hurts that person. Bro, like, there's a lot to deal with in this situation. You need to deal with the things that...
Just talk to him about it.
I do feel that because of our busy schedules and the fact that Gianna is still in the bed with us.
You know, and, you know, I love the way that she always says it in the things, you know, this is how I feel, and I think she's been coached that way. That the statement I feel deals with emotion and the emotives, right? When you're dealing in an argument or a debate or trying to communicate your feelings towards a partner, as a woman especially, you should be using I feel. Why? Because it's feminine, it's a lot about, it deals with emotions, but also as well, I feel is about what you actually felt. And it's actually letting the person know, listen, these are my feelings, please protect my feelings. Don't hurt it. And this is how I'm communicating what I'm feeling, yeah? Okay? And this is how I feel. Now you can work with that, right? The fact that he is doing certain things that are unhelpful to his relationship and painful and hurtful to his own wife and missus, because he's got no accountability, no responsibility. He's unwilling to do that. Maybe he's not introspective enough to be able to do that for himself. And so you're seeing this person now shut down emotionally, because I said it's emotion avoidant, and you see that he doesn't want to answer the question. Well, later on, and I feel like, I'm going to discuss that. I feel like also as well, that the refusal of ownership as well, and he feels like his wife should cover him. I feel like he feels like his wife should cover him. Like his wife shouldn't say anything in counseling. It should be, you should cover me. You should support me. You should, make sure that I'm not naked, right? And the truth of the matter is, we're in counseling. This is the whole point of being naked, so that we can help each other. We're not supposed to now try and do, cover me. No. Listen, we're in counseling. Let it all go. But his pride doesn't allow him to express through words simply, I need love. I need your time. I need you to be by my side. Like his words not coming out because the pride is so strong. You understand? It's so strong. It won't allow him to say it just clean cut. Just like it won't allow him to, he won't allow men to cry because we're like, oh, that's weakness, right? And so, and then he shuts down and he starts talking. And the counselor's like, you're not going to talk about it. He said, no, I'm not going to talk. I've said what I need to say. I'm not going to say nothing else. And he just shuts down. And as he shuts down, again, he's blocking out his missus, which again is going to leave her isolated, bro. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, this leaves your partner isolated. So it's a form of abandonment. It's a part of passive aggressiveness, but it's also cruel to your partner because now they're being shut out. They're not being allowed to communicate with you emotionally and support you emotionally.
Now, not both of us. We're just talking about you right now.
I am annoyed. Right now, we're kind of getting down to personal. My wife is throwing stones that shouldn't be thrown.
And so later on, the counselor said as well, look, just to let you know, having another baby is not the best idea. And guess what happens? They have another baby, right? So she obviously said, my instincts are telling me not to have a baby, but I remember watching a video where it says earlier on that he really wanted to have a kid. He wanted to have a child. This is when she was talking to Apatha, the wife of John Gray. She was like, he wants to have a kid. So this is his idea. He wants to push for it. Why? Because maybe he thinks that will solve their issues.
Grief, or if it is trying to fill the void of his mom. But he is definitely speaking about growing our family and trying to have another baby.
Maybe he thinks a kid will solve their problems. Maybe he thinks a kid will get in the way enough for them to get on the right track as a relationship. But the truth of the matter is a kid makes it 10 times worse. Why? Because added pressure and added stress. Added pressure and added stress, okay, that you're already under, okay? For an argument. It felt like he was really trying to get an argument out of, Letoya. He was trying to set up an argument so they can go to Dallas freely and be like, it's because you made me annoyed that I'm going to Dallas. But he said to her, listen, in the car, I'm going to Dallas that night. And she's like, wait, hold a minute. You never told me this. Now, as a partnership, you can't be just going anywhere anyhow willy-nilly. You gotta let your partner know. Listen, I learned the hard way. My missus was telling me off and I was like, oh, my bad, you know what I mean? I'm just so used to being a solo runner. But the truth of the matter is, it's cruel again to not inform your missus that you are going on a trip, especially to Dallas where your daughter is. Yeah? And then you try to make it out as if she doesn't care about your daughter, as if that she doesn't care at all. But she made it very clear, listen, I'm not trying not to have a relationship with them. You just made my relationship with your daughter conditional though. So you can see right clearly this guy is trying to manipulate. And I don't think he's doing it on purpose. He's trying to manipulate to get his way. Because the trip to Dallas, go if you're going to go, but let the person know ahead of time. And then you pretend as if that you're angry. Well, you create a fake argument, or I should say not even fake, you create an argument just so that you can go freely and feel validated about you going the time that you're going without letting her know ahead of time. With the situation with So with the situation with with the situation with Walker and Letoya, I really believe that Letoya is somebody who is just trying to find someone who genuinely loves her, right? And I know I watched a video where she was saying about how she gave up dating, she wanted the Lord to take control. But the issue here is this, and it's one of the videos I'm going to do, which is talking about spirituality and wisdom have to mix. Spirituality and faith and wisdom must mix. The two are not separate, they have to go together, right? I remember when I was in a certain situation and I thought the Lord was telling me certain things but I also wasn't using my wisdom in terms of relationships. I understand relationships, and so I was ignoring another aspect that God was speaking to me through, which was through the wisdom that He gave me. So you must understand that when it comes to relationships, I think at one point I watched a video where she's talking about how she tore up everything that she wanted about a man and just gave it up. But the thing is here, you can't tear it up. You need to know what you need. You need to know what you need. So when you meet the person, you don't get bamboozled by looks. You don't get bamboozled by something that looks like what you want, but isn't what you need. Right? And so when I'm looking at obviously her husband, I'm seeing a lot of emotional, like I said, emotional avoidant behavior. And emotional avoidant behavior, the problem with it is that the person doesn't deal with doesn't do well with emotional situations where there's conflict involved. They tend to ignore it, hence why he flies off elsewhere. That might be also for the side piece as well, but yes, etc, etc. But that person doesn't deal well with emotions and relation and conflict. And you can see that obviously in several instances where he's snidey, he's sharp with his words. As she said in the first video, his mouth is sharp, very much so. We see it in other clips. And instead of actually dealing with it, the tit for tats that he does and everything like that, instead of dealing with it and going back to the past and figuring out, hey, where's my anger coming from? Where's my frustration coming from? Where's my disappointment and where's my fear and insecurity coming from? That's making me fight you the way that I'm fighting you. This is obviously overcomable, but there needs to be, if he's not even going to counseling and allowing the counselors to deal with him properly, then this relationship is done for. And at one point she says in the car, I'm fighting so much this, that, I'm fighting for us, I'm fighting for you. You're not fighting for this. You know, and a famous line in Why Did I Get Married too is that you can't fight with somebody who doesn't want to get in a ring with you. You can't fight with somebody who doesn't want to fight. And it seems like he doesn't want to fight for the relationship. It seems like she's wanting to fight for the relationship alone. Because at one point, she even shut her mouth at one point when he was talking, and she could sense that he was getting angry at the point. And that's a smart move to make. But I'm scared that it can eventually become abusive, right? Because the way that he gets so quick to anger. Another thing is that being quick-tempered like that is a dangerous place to be in for a woman, because when you've got somebody who's quick to temper, you don't know when it could trigger him. You don't know when it could take him out of his zone. You don't know when it can take him to his anger. You don't know when he can lose control and snap. And that must be an on-the-edge ice kind of thing. Now, again, allegedly the cheating is allegedly that he did. But if he did cheat, obviously, especially when your wife is pregnant, it just shows the fact that my man don't care. My man don't care. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. So yeah, I mean, I do believe that Letoya is a great woman. I believe that Tomas can make it if he decides to get his act together and actually deal with the insecurities. Would I want them to? If he has cheated, probably not. But we can only say allegedly. We don't know 100% sure if it is or not. But what I would say again to end on this note is that listen, not all that glitters is gold. You know what I'm saying? And we look at people and we look up to them, and they got married within about a year or something like that, which is like very, like her last thing that she got engaged with was within about a year as well. So this is a normal pattern for Letoya. The problem is that she's got people coming towards her who aren't genuine. And again, I'm always going to say this to you guys: know what you need, not what you want. If you don't, when you get what you want, not what you need, you'll be in this position where you're frustrated and annoyed because you think that's what you needed at the time, when actually you really needed something else. So yeah, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads, and we appreciate you guys, and we hope that you enjoyed it as well. Love.